47 times. Yeah, I counted. That's how many times Patricia Westbrook's fancy SUV carved a path right across my land in just 3 months. Silverbrook Heights' proud HOA president, treating my 30-acre Texas farm like her own shortcut to the golf course, as if property lines were just suggestions and not, actual boundaries. You ever have one of those neighbors who acts like your fence is invisible? Drop a comment, because the way I handled it turned her $60,000 Mercedes into the world's priciest lesson in respecting other people's land. It all really kicked off the morning I was pounding my third "no trespassing" sign into the ground. The first two, they vanished without a trace, except for the fresh tire tracks through the mud that told me everything I needed to know. This sign, though, was different, anchored with a steel post sunk in concrete, built to withstand a tank if I had to. Texas sun's coming up, throwing long shadows across the pasture I'd been slowly bringing back to life after decades at Boeing designing aircraft systems. This place was supposed to be my escape. No HOA rules about mailbox colors, no committees, just me, 30 acres, and the quiet life I'd worked for. But peace didn't last long. I heard that engine before I saw the dust. A Mercedes, of course, purring louder than dignity itself. Here comes Patricia, decked out in designer sunglasses and enough spray tan to make you squint, barreling right through where my new sign stood. No brakes, no hesitation. The Mercedes slammed into American steel, and, let me tell you, it was beautiful. Her bumper crumpled, the sign held firm, and her car screeched to a stop with a sound that made my engineer's heart sing. She came out swinging, shrieking like I'd just personally offended her ancestors. "What have you done?" She points at the post, as if it sprang out of the ground just to spite her. "Put up a sign." "On my property," I answered, steady voice, but inside I was filing every detail away for later. How she entered, what she hit, what she ignored. Patricia smooths her tennis skirt. A tell. I'd learned that something really entitled is about to leave her lips. This is our traditional path. You can't block it. We've always used it. Lady, I'd only owned the place 6 months, and old Jim Morrison before me farmed here for 40 years. Never once mentioned an HOA parade on his land. "Ma'am, this is private property. You're trespassing. That's the 3rd sign you've wrecked. And now you've dinged your car on my marker." She laughed, all nails on chalkboard. "The board will hear about this. We have rights to this path." She whips out her phone, probably speed dialing her Rolodex of people who don't care. "I'll be sending you a bill for my bumper, and that thing needs to go." She struggled to back out, bumper scraping my victorious sign, losing more bits of her luxury ride with every turn. I watched her limp back to her gated kingdom. Made a decision right then. Patricia was about to learn what happens when you mess with an engineer who lives for problem solving. That night, over coffee, I dove into Texas property law, easements, HOA limits, heck, even the criminal trespass code. Patricia thought I'd roll over, but she had no idea I planned to make this lesson permanent. On my kitchen table sat a chunk of Mercedes bumper, a trophy promising bigger things to come. This wasn't about revenge. This was about boundaries and the simple rule that being HOA president doesn't make you Queen of Texas. 3 days later, Patricia showed up at my gate at 7 a.m. With backup, 2 HOA guys in matching polos, clipboards in hand, looking like mall cops. Her battered Mercedes led the convoy, but she still managed a blazer in her trademark glare. "Mr. Turner, we need to discuss the hazardous conditions on your property." I didn't even leave my rocking chair. "Morning, Patricia." "Gentlemen, if you're here about the sign, it's staying. Your HOA ends back at Silverbrook Drive." One of her guys flipped through his clipboard, probably hoping for a page that said, "Make this guy disappear." Patricia smiled, dangerous as a snake. "Actually, there's a prescriptive easement. 20 years of community use gives us access." She waves a folder around like it's the Constitution. I smelled the bluff. I stood, pulled out my phone, and showed them a photo. That's a 2015 HOA letter, signed and sealed, where Jim Morrison denied all members permission to cross his land. No continuous use, no easement. The color drained from her face. The 2 flanking her looked like they wanted to fall through the porch. She tried shifting tactics. The golf course access benefits everyone, Mr. Turner. Can't you understand that? She sounded almost pleading. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about the golf course. Something else was driving her panic. Patricia, let's be clear. No one crosses my property. I've got cameras now. Any more trespassing gets reported to the sheriff. I'll let that sink in. And about your bumper bill, take it up with your insurance. They'll love hearing how you hit a legal marker while trespassing. She leaned in, voice cold. You have no idea who you're dealing with. I know everyone who matters in this county, Sheriff Martinez included. I said. His daughter Maria helped me survey my lines. Sharp kid, criminal justice degree. We used to run Boeing charity events together. Patricia's knuckles went white. This isn't over. But the threat was empty, like a flat tire on a luxury SUV. As they sped away, I noticed something weird. HOA's white pickup had a Thornton Timber LLC sticker. Why would an HOA truck have a timber company pass? Another piece of the puzzle. Patricia thought she was playing chess. She didn't realize I was already reading the endgame. That night, I drew out camera angles, property lines, documenting everything. The battle lines were set, and Patricia didn't even know she declared war on the wrong person. At the next HOA meeting, I rolled up in my rusty Ford, parking between Escalades. Through the glass, I saw Patricia working the room, but when I walked in, the place went silent. Mr. Turner, this is a closed meeting for Silverbrook Heights residents only. Actually, I said, holding up a paper, Texas Property Code 209.005 lets me attend and speak if you're discussing anything that affects my land. And item 7 here, permanent golf course easement, right through my property. The room started buzzing. Patricia motioned for me to sit, but I stayed standing, posted up like I was running a Boeing briefing. They finally hit item 7. Patricia's slide showed an aerial map with a big red line through my land. We propose a permanent easement for community access. Then Tom Thornton from Thornton Development stood, pitching his survey and a paved path funded by higher HOA dues. The crowd actually applauded. That's when I knew it wasn't about golf at all. Point of order, I said. Thornton, why do you survey my property without permission? That's trespassing. The room went dead. Patricia jumped in. That's a serious accusation. Helping the community or helping yourself? I pulled out my phone. County records showed Thornton filed plans for retail and residential construction, but there was no road access unless you build a road through my farm. The room erupted. You told us this was about golf, someone shouted. I kept going. Any condemnation attempt would fail. My property's agricultural land with an active timber operation. Texas law is clear. You can't take AG land for private development. Even if my timber operation was a dozen trees, it sounded good. One young guy in a suit moved to table the item and audit HOA finances. 3 people seconded. Patricia tried to bang order with her gavel, but the meeting fell apart. On my way out, a man stopped me, Stephen Walsh. I've suspected Patricia for years. You got that meeting recorded. Texas is a one-party state, I said, patting my shirt pocket. That night, cameras went up, 20 of them, overlapping fields, motion sensors, more no trespassing signs. The hardware clerk thought I was prepping for Armageddon. But the next day, following fresh tire tracks, I found survey stakes on my land. Thornton's crew already planning the road. I pulled every stake and stacked them for the next round. Stephen Walsh called. Jackson, you kicked a hornet's nest. Patricia's lawyered up, and it's a family affair. Her cousin from Houston. Tell him to read up on timber law, I said. They're about to learn what happens when you trespass on AG land. We dug up more. Patricia had pulled this trick before. Crash, claim, force, or scare people off. Stephen started connecting me to other property owners with the same story. That afternoon, I dug a big drainage trench right where Patricia liked to cross. Legal, permitted, marked with cones, tape, and signs. By sunset, 3 vehicles parked at the edge of my property, Patricia, Thornton, and the Houston lawyer. I flew my new drone overhead, staying on my side, recording every word. He can't do this, Patricia raged. The lawyer just shook his head. With the right permits, it's legal. Thornton was the calmest. The vote's next week. Once it passes, we can force access. The lawyer looked worried. Patricia snapped. I didn't bring you for your opinion. Make it happen. My drone caught it all. Clear evidence of their true intentions. Days later, at dawn, Patricia came barreling toward my property line, ignoring every warning sign, straight for the trench. She hit it doing 45, Mercedes went airborne, then buried itself nose down in Texas mud as the sprinklers came on, soaking everything. She tried to drive out, shredded her transmission, snapped the axle. Her $60,000 SUV destroyed in under a minute. Patricia, in her best designer outfit, crawled out mud-soaked, screaming about assault. Ma'am, you crashed onto my posted property at high speed. I said calmly, I've got everything on camera. She called the cops, screaming for lawsuits. Sheriff Martinez himself showed up, took one look at my permits and signs, and shook his head. Ma'am, please step away from the vehicle. The tow driver called for special equipment. Insurance adjusters arrived, the local reporter showed up, and half the HOA board came to gawk. When they finally dragged the Mercedes out, it looked like scrap metal from a demolition derby. The insurance guy broke the news, totaled, valued at junk prices, and good luck getting a claim after ignoring warning signs on private land. That was the end of Patricia's reign, though she didn't know it yet. She tried coming after me with lawyers, threatening lawsuits for attractive nuisance and emotional distress. I handed everything to my lawyer, Rachel Foster Chun, the best in Texas, and she sent back a counterclaim for trespass, conspiracy, and fraud. When Patricia's nephew called to settle for $10,000, I laughed. She'll be lucky if she only loses $300,000. It all came out in court. The secret partnership with Thornton, the Shell Timber Company used to buy up land, the fake easement claims, the lies, the bank transfers. Rachel Foster laid it all out, emails, depositions, camera footage, everything. Patricia's lawyer wilted. She pled guilty to criminal trespass, lost her presidency, and ended up bankrupt, forbidden from coming near my property ever again. The judge's order was clear, $425,000 in damages, a permanent restraining order, and a reputation destroyed. Silverbrook Heights kicked out every Patricia loyalist. New president, retired Judge Margaret Chun, rewrote the charter to end the abuse. No more assumed paths, no more secret deals. The land remained peaceful. Thornton sold the undeveloped parcel to the county for a park. The drainage trench became an orchard. The cameras now caught more deer than drama. Neighbors started stopping by to thank me, even bringing over casseroles and stories of how Patricia tried to bully them, too. Justice wasn't flashy, it was quiet, methodical, and patient. Patricia learned the hard way that property lines aren't suggestions and that actions have consequences. When winter rolled in, I stood on my porch, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise over my peaceful acres. No tire tracks, no trespassing, just the land as it should be. So here's the question I'll leave you with. What would you have done? Stand your ground, or let folks like Patricia steamroll you? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me where you're watching from and your own stories of standing up for what's right. Because in the end, the most important boundary isn't the one around your land. It's the line between right and wrong, the one you never let anyone cross. Thanks for sticking around. And remember, sometimes the most expensive Mercedes in the world is the one you drive where it doesn't belong.